Hey, Jeff McKinney. Do you guys know who Rodney Mullins is?
No.
I'm in a big skateboarding kick right now. Have you ever heard of the ollie before?
Yeah.
What about the kick flip?
Not until you started sending me pictures of yourself doing them.
Basically, Rodney Mullins, in the late 1970s, early 1980s, basically developed all the tricks that are the foundation of modern day skateboarding. And he's a really interesting guy. He's late 40s, early 50s. So your guys' age. But he's cool. And he still skates, but obviously, your body breaks down over time and everything. But he's just such an interesting dude. He does TED Talks and stuff like that. And he's inspirational speaker. And one of the things that was really interesting, I was hearing him talking about skateboarding, and he was saying from 1979 to 1986, he was in 35 skateboard contests. He won 34 of them. And about 10 years ago, he just threw away all of his trophies. And he was like, if you hold on to your trophies, that's fine. He's like, but I just do not want anything where I'm going to point back one day and say, look at how good I used to be. Think about that. Look at how good I was.
That's deep.
It's I exist right now, bro.
Yep. Tom Brady's going to throw out all 6 of his Super Bowl rings.
He should.
And then get pitted, brah.
Dude, I got so pitted. That guy's from San Mateo. He totally knows what's up.
Oh, shit. All right. Oh, I guess I should start recording.
Any viewers?
It's not showing me for some reason. So I don't know.
So 0.
Usually it shows me 0. They got to let us know if they got to let us know if they're in the chat. If we've got any of our Patreons that love to watch the show out there, or any of our homeboys from Chicago. All right, you guys ready to kick this pig?
I got a mouthful of chicken.
You don't say anything for the first 3 minutes. Unless you do the count into the beat. You need
that always works, right?
I mean, the show is live at this point. This is what's going in the beginning. So,
you know what? What you do is should just yell 1, 2, 3, 4 sometime, and you should do a remix of the music, so it just sounds awesome every time.
Yeah. You can start editing the show anytime you want.
Dimitri's saying, or I can just hide here all quiet and stealth. I see you, bro. I see you and your nice hair.
I mean, if you're going to Bordeaux or Burgundy, I mean, you're just going to hit all the DRCs. I mean, you may as well just hit all the Grand Crus, man.
Dimitri, you know what was really funny? So after we talked to you that one night, after you left, I looked at the guys and I said, I fucking hate it when people are younger than me and more successful. And then John goes, get used to
it. Oh, truth hurts. Truth hurts. All right, you guys ready to do this?
Yeah.
I'm giving up beer brewing. I'm going to go back to playing third base.
All right. Dimitri, you ready? All right.
It's a delay. He'll get back to you right when you start recording.
He'll get back to us on the 3 count. All right, here we go.
Okay, so I'm Craig Camp from Troon Vineyards. I do like drinking, so being part of the We Like Drinking podcast is absolutely perfect for me, and I'm thrilled to be here, and you should too.
At the sound of the tone, the official "We Like Drinking" time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
1, 2, 3, 4. This week on episode 216 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing whether or not food and wine pairings are bullshit. We're marching toward the end of our Patreon challenge, and we let you decide what we're drinking tonight. So we'll see how that goes. So crack open your beers, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking. Yeah, listeners, it's going to be one of those episodes. I have a feeling we haven't even started drinking, and we already are 8 feet deep into the
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I just took a sip. I'm all puckered up.
Oh, God, I didn't need to hear that. All right, well, cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 216 of the only two-time award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on Jeff Solomon.
Fun.
That's right. We like to have the fun here. If the trophies weren't so far away, I'd go get both of them that are on my shelf over there, but they're just 7 feet over there. There's
Mine
one
right here, bro. I was thinking about throwing it away because I never want to look back at this and be like, look how good I used to be. I exist today, man.
So listen.
Is this the Waiting for Godot episode of the We Like Drinking podcast? We're going to go sit on a bench and drink in Paris and just talk about our trophies.
I'm only as good as the awards that are given to me by nerds.
If you like what you're hearing, listeners, considering leaving us a review on Apple Podcast, visit iTunes and let us know what you think about the show. We'd really appreciate it. How do you get there if they want to, Jeff Solomon?
Get where? To iTunes?
Yeah, to leave a review.
Like Eccles says, if you're on your phone, swipe left, right,
whatever.
But anyways, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you scroll down and poke, and then that's where you can review.
Just diddle your phone until you can see a way to leave us 5 stars.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this. Tonight, we're joined by our usual panel members. We have our wine blogger, I think, Jeff Solomon.
Hello, I think I'm here.
We have our commercial brewer, John Ruyak.
Hey, everybody.
And I am your host, Jeff Eccles. Tonight, we're kicking off March with a tasting episode. You're welcome. You may think it's time for wine, but you're wrong. So we've got okay. The We Like Drinking show is kind of a big deal, if you didn't already know that. We're booked, like I'm booking almost into June at this point, and through the scheduling, we've gotten a little heavy on the wine side of things. So what we've done to kind of balance things out a little bit is I know we just had oatmeal stouts. Didn't we just drink oatmeal stouts?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
It's morning.
So we're doing, so instead of doing a wine episode this month, we're doing another beer episode, and you'll understand why as the month progresses, as we get into March a little bit more. So let's see, what are we drinking tonight? Jeff Solomon, why don't you let us know what we're drinking?
Yeah, it was interesting. We kind of just we posted some just random beers just off the top of our heads for our patrons to take a look at and vote on. And I was really getting keen on drinking some Mexican lagers, some craft Mexican lagers, because you're seeing it everywhere. I had some on the show a few episodes back. I think it was 213. Go ahead and download that, and if it's not that, listen to the one before, the one after.
You'll find it eventually.
Yeah, eventually. We put Mexican craft Mexican lagers up there. We put Gose up there. What were some other beers? I don't. Those were
we felt that we need to do the Brute IPA,
right?
Yes.
And then we did the bottle versus can versus draft.
Yeah. All those seem pretty interesting, but I really have just had a hankering for craft Mexican lagers. And lo and behold, our Patreons all wanted us to go with Gose, which is cool. I like a good Gose. I'm a big fan of Gose. I would say it was kind of interesting, though, going to the store because craft Mexican lagers are on the come up and Goses are kind of Gose-ing away. I feel like all the shelf space got taken over. I saw 6 or 7 craft Mexican lagers at the 2 stores that I stopped at. And I say 2 stores because it wasn't until the second store that I finally got a Gose that was acceptable for the show. So it kind of interesting. I do love the Gose. This should be fun. So tonight, I am going to be tasting the Anderson Valley Blood Orange Gose, and they do quite a few fruit infused Goses. This is the one that they came across, and I was excited because I haven't tried this one yet until moments before we started the show. Spoiler alert: it's a little tart.
It should be, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, John, what are you drinking?
What do you have there, Eccles?
Oh, me? I have the Avery Brewing El Gose. It's got a little skull on it. Just I can fit it right perfectly. There you go.
There you go.
Oh my God, it looks like it's wearing headphones now and hosting a podcast.
An award win, a 2-time award winning podcast.
Does it have lemons in it? I see some lemons in the eyeballs on that.
It's ale with lime and sea salt.
There you go. So I picked up a couple. I've got in my Lizard Tail Squealer. I actually went to Tractor. We don't brew a Gose at Lizard Tail. I went to Tractor and got a squealer of their Veruca Salt Gose, and I also picked up a 6-pack of Marble Passionate Gose, which were Gose with passion fruit in it. So one's a straight Gose, and the other one's got a little bit of fruit in it. And these would be contemporary style Goses, not traditional Goses, according to the Brewers Association. So
as John just did a line of Coke, apparently.
No, that's the I know more than you sniff. Like, go ahead and ask me a biology question, and I go, well,
no, that springtime has finally come to New Mexico, and the pollen count shot up about 500 million, billion, trillion.
All right. Well, if we just went that far down for the jokes, I guess it's time for wine, beer, or pop culture reference. So this is where I'm going to give these guys a term, and they're going to try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is Arnsberger. So is Arnsberger a wine term, a beer term, or a pop culture reference? John Rudek.
I feel like Arnsberger is like the Austrian cousin to Limburger, like Arnold Arnsberger.
Arnsberger. Okay.
I'll be back with some cheese. Oh man, Arnsberger. I've seen this term before. I'm thinking that Arnsberger is an Austrian wine region.
Oh, all right. Austrian wine region from John Ruyak. Jeff Solomon nodding. It looks like nodding in agreement. Let's see where he goes.
Well, I like the way that you broke that down, and I just want to clarify. So this is capital ARN apostrophe S, new word, capital BUG BURGER, Arnsberger.
It's all one word.
Okay.
So it's not like Bob's Burger. It's
correct.
Okay. I was just gonna say it's a hamburger that belongs to some guy named Arn. So yeah, it seems like it would be something like German, Austrian, and I cannot help but think about it happened. I figured it out. I love when I talk about it and then I figure it out.
And then it all
I
comes
can't
together.
help but when I think about Germany, I think about beer before wine. I know there's plenty of nice wine that's in Germany. But tonight we are drinking Gose, Gose, not to be confused with Gose, which is something different. Gose is from Belgium, I believe, but
also
Gose.
Glees.
No, I say Goose because it's fun. Gose is originally from Germany, and so I want to say that Arnsberger is either the town where the Gose style was perfected, or the name of some sort of brewery where it was perfect. I'm gonna say the town.
The town where it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got the town. We've got a beer. Jeff Solomon is going with a beer reference to the town that perfected Gose style. John is going with an Austrian wine region.
Can I change it to region? I'm gonna say region and not town.
Okay, region. All right.
No, town. It's
Town.
city.
Final answer?
Berg.
Street.
Okay. Arnsberger is in fact, I got to go back to my roots, man. It's a wine grape.
Mother.
It is a white wine grape created in 1939 by Henrik Berk. It has a low susceptibility to gray rot and fruitiness similar to Riesling. Arnsberger.
So I get like a quarter of a point for that.
You get full marks for that, John Ruyak.
You know, our friend Dimitri is watching live, and in the chat, he wrote, "It's a wine grape," just as you were saying it. And I know that he gets it on a little bit of a delay, but also he had 2 or 3 minutes of John and I rambling, so I'm sure he cheated. Dimitri's a cheater.
No,
but he knew it was a wine grape.
He's been hands up the whole time. I can.
Okay.
All right. Let's do this. I'm excited about this. This is going to be a fun one. John.
Yeah.
Are we pronouncing it correctly?
Some people say goes. I think it's Gose. And you caught me kind of unprepared because wasn't Meyer supposed to be on the show when doing the notes for this?
There was a chance he was going to be on the show, but there was no discussion of him doing any kind of show notes.
Well, shit.
But we need a Cicerone in the house. That's what we need.
We'll put it on your Irish pizza. Okay, so Gose. It's with the advent of sour beers and stuff the last couple of years, Gose is somewhat of a sour style. So sure, you can go look it up in the Brewers Association notes. You can look it up in Wikipedia. You can look in your I don't think it makes any mention in the Michael Jackson Ultimate World Guide to Beer.
Gose.
But Gose was first brewed, I think, way back in like the 14th or 15th century in a town called Goslar, Germany. But it became a lot more accepted and prominent in Leipzig. So for a while, the story of Gose is really cool. I mean, it just kind of there's a funny story about this, but there is this just like this roller coaster ride about the entire style. It completely died out for like 25 years, and then some guy in Leipzig opened up refurbished a beer garden and said, "Whoa, we should get some Gose in here," and they reinvigorated the style, and some guy taught his son how to make it, and then both of those guys died, and then finally they just resurrected the style, and of course, us Americans, we've bastardized it by putting fruit in it. And there's a little bit of additive to Gose in the traditional style that actually makes it not conform to the famous German beer purity law, the Reinheitsgebot. But it's acceptable because it's a regional specialty, like Hefeweizen, like Berliner Weiss, and some other other types of German specialties that are allowable to be brewed in Germany, not conforming to that ironclad law. So anyway, originally Gose was a wild beer. It's like alambic. It fermented spontaneously. They didn't add any yeast or anything like that. So way back in the day, it probably had some real some kind of wild flavors, some kind of funky flavors, that farmhouse Brett stinky diaper deal. And the malt bill or the grain bill included barley, wheat, sometimes oats. Some places use unmalted barley or unmalted wheat, and you don't usually use unmalted grains these days because of the insoluble proteins. Makes it very hard to pull the liquid off of the mash and sparge it and rinse the grains if there's this big thick goo of protein not letting the water flow through the grain bed. So
yummy.
But some people do use small amounts of unmalted barley or wheat in their beers in order to increase the mouthfeel and increase head retention and things like that. So traditionally in Leipzig in Germany, they would add at least coriander or cilantro seeds and salt. And there's some dispute about whether salt was purposely added in the brewing process or if it originally just was a function of the saltiness of the water that they had there in the region at the time. These days, it can be brewed with traditional yeast. It can be brewed with lactic yeast. It can be brewed with Brettanomyces. It can be brewed with wild yeast, a combination of all those things. It's typically, and Eccles was holding up that's a typical color for a traditional Gose. My example is crystal clear.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. Yeah, I was not expecting that because I've had several Goses and they didn't look anything like it. Although we'll talk about tasting on this a little later, it tastes fine. But
I've got sediment.
Nice. That's awesome. So you really shouldn't expect any hop bitterness. 5 to 15 IBUs. I mean, it's going to be like a commercial lager from the United States in that regard. There's not a lot of malt character. You're going to get some salt in it. You're going to get a little bit of that coriander. A lot of that coriander can also be derived from yeast itself. So if it's fermenting at a lower temperature, you get some coriander flavors and some things, particularly when you're fermenting wheat. So, like I said, this was really, really popular style in that area of Germany. And they had a bunch of like tap houses or beer gardens called Gose Schenkens. So that was, if you want to drink a Gose in Leipzig, you go to a Gose Schenken.
You want to drink some Gose? Drink some
Gose Schenken.
Drink some Gose and get shaked at the same time. Sounds perfect.
Yep.
So right in the ribs, right?
So, man, I have some questions about this. So is the German style, the original, is it going to be a lot different than what we get here in America, or should they be somewhat similar? I know you've talked about how we bastardize it here, but
they should be somewhat similar. but the traditional Leipzig style's not going to have any fruit in it. It's simply going to be a straight up beer.
Okay. And then like mine's pretty cloudy. You said that's pretty typical.
That's
so
pretty typical. So you should think of either a traditional, even a contemporary Gose to be kind of like if you ever had like a Berliner Weiss, like a salty version of that, or even just a salty American wheat.
Okay. Because that is, I'm going with that kind of wheat kind of style glass for this. That seems like the Gose style glass. So now on the German side, if we're talking, it's similar to a wheat beer. Would they do a fruit rim or anything like that? Would they serve this with a lemon?
Not that I was able to dig out of, because I wanted to see, compare what we do, and fruit flavors do lend themselves very well to these sour types of beer. So it's a nice, and I think it adds a refreshing aspect to Gose that we should discuss after we do some of our tasting, because I've got some interesting notes on that, and I think if you think about it while we drink it, then you'll understand why a lot of people put fruit in it.
All right.
We're gonna do we're gonna do some thinking and some drinking.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to go over there again. Jeff, you want to start us off?
Sure. So again, this is the Anderson Valley Blood Orange Gose. I think they have like a watermelon Gose. I've had that before. And I feel like I've had like a straight up Gose from them. Like that's something that's pretty easy to find, at least in California. I come across these fairly often. Do you guys run across Anderson Valley that often?
Yeah. I had a watermelon one. Yeah.
Okay, so it's out and about, and I think it might be something that's easy to find. And what I've found, typically with Anderson Valley, it's not this cloudy wheat style. It is more of like John said, kind of like an American lager, but it's got this tart aspect to it, and it's salty. And then they use it as a vehicle. At least Anderson Valley does, for different types of fruits. And so this blood orange Gose, this is more like a coppery type of yellow color right here. Pretty crystal clear. There's no cloudiness. On the nose, it just kind of smells like beer. I'm going to be honest. Right? So. Yeah, I mean, you're getting a little bit of that orangey type of nose, but really more than anything else, you're on the nose. It's not coming across like anything different compared to a very light ale or a lager. It's in that realm. On the palate, though, it's pucker worthy. And because the beer itself, like there's not a whole lot of malty depth to this or overwhelming hoppiness. It's got a nice tart bite that is amplified by that blood orange. And the thing I like about a blood orange as opposed to just like a regular old orange is it seems like there is a little bit more of a depth of flavor. So what might be lacking, what some people might be searching for from like maltier beers, at least there's some depth and some brooding deep flavors from that blood orange. But I gotta be honest, like one of the reasons why I love Goses in general, and why I've been kind of on like a craft Mexican lager kick too, is it's just something that's nice and crisp and refreshing and well made, but not like some corn syrupy American lager. You know what I mean? Like it's just something that's better, that can easily just step in and take the place of what a lot of folks might be used to. So I'm liking this quite a bit, and dare I say, I'd love to have this with some French fries right now. Like, no joke. I'm just like, I need French fries. And I think it's that salty aspect that's coming out. But I want something salty and oily right now. That's what I want.
Well, oil kills carbonation in your mouthfeel. So
No.
it
I will eat fries with it. I will enjoy it.
Kettle cook French fries. Or kettle cook potato chips.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that too.
All right, John, what you got?
Okay, so I poured this Veruca salt Gose from the Tractor. And
I love that name, by the way.
Love that name.
I think I have their album from way back in the CD from way back in the day.
So when you taste it, you get the seether.
There you go.
You know that was a song about PMS, by the way. Just
Great.
So everyone knows. I used to work at a record store. I know these things. Okay, you go.
So one of the things about Gose is when you pour it out of the can or the bottle, it's very highly carbonated, and you'll get that commercial big beer fizz and not a lot of head retention. There's these end up fully attenuated, meaning the fermentation is almost as fully done as it possibly can be. There's not a lot of residual sugar, so nothing to really carry ahead in the beer. Mine's, I get a little bit of the tartness on the nose with this. Yeah, the color on it, oddly enough, looks like a Mexican lager. And again, my example is quite clear.
Or maybe some apple cider or something like that.
Yeah, and Tractor makes an excellent apple cider, by the way, which we serve at Lizard Tail. So it really in the glass, it doesn't look like much. But when you taste it, you're like, you get that cleansing thing from the carbonation. But here's the thing. It is salty. So you're like, it's not really quenching my thirst. You know what I'm saying?
You want to take another drink.
Totally.
Yeah, well, it's I gotta drink some more because it's just like eating salty food, but you're drinking a salty beer, so I gotta keep drinking this, right? So I think that's another reason why American craft brewers have decided to put some fruit in it, and that's to give it a little better refreshing aspect to it, add just a touch of sweetness to the beer to kind of balance out the fact that it is quite salty. This is, I would think from a flavor profile, not certainly from an appearance thing, that this would be pretty close to what a Gose would look like in Leipzig.
Okay. Awesome.
The name of the city is Lip Sync?
Or In Sync.
I like Lip Sync. Like, that reminds me of Ashley Simpson on Saturday Night Live. Remember that one?
Yes.
Then she did the little country dance and she left the stage.
All right, so this El Gose from Avery Brewing, like I said, this one's brewed with lime and sea salt. It does have the ingredients here. It's brewed with Rocky Mountain water, malted barley, malted wheat, limes, sea salt, hops, and yeast. So it's all of that is super apparent on the nose. Like you can smell the sea salt, you can smell the lime, you can smell the coriander that John was talking about. It's all there, and it transfers to the palate as well. It's it's like you had a bit of a wheat beer here. Like, I'm not getting a whole lot of sour on this, but I am getting that citrusy lime component and getting that sea salt component as well. So it's really nice. It's really tasty. Like, I want it to be summer right now and just have this on the porch because this would be awesome.
So is there a thirst quenching component to yours in particular? Or is it confusing your palate a little bit? It's
confusing my palate a little bit because I think it's like I expect it to be refreshing, and it's cool and it's crisp, but then I'm thirsty again. And I think that's the sea salt that's coming through. So all my senses are telling me that that I'll be going, after I take a drink, and I'm going, wait a second, I need another.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Well, it's funny that you say I need another one because another Gose that I was looking for that I've seen around quite a bit and had quite a bit is Sierra Nevada's Otra Vez, which means another one. So I thought that was kind of cool. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think this was, I mean, I'm happy that the Patreons gave this one. It's almost like this and Mexican craft lager, we'd be talking the same kind of thing, right?
Well, pretty much, because a lot of those, like, we may as well talk about it right now. Like a lot of these, like, modern craft Mexican style lagers, they'll add salt and lime to it anyways. And I think it's delicious. And I would say that I think those are probably a lot more thirst quenching and a lot more approachable than these might be. That being said, folks that are trying to like baby step their way into sour ales, I think would love Goses.
Yeah.
You know what?
John, we got to ask this question though.
Okay.
Because some people do get Gose and Guse confused with each other. Eccles and I each almost picked up a Guse when we were having trouble finding Goses. So what's the difference between those things?
A goose or a guise is a spontaneous fermented Belgian style. And it's a lot like a lambic with no, you see a lot of lambics with cherry, you know, which would be creek lambics, or frambozen, which is raspberry. A guise would have no fruit flavors added to it at all. Maybe some additional candy sugar to stoke a secondary fermentation.
Okay, so it would be, yes.
That if you're drinking a Gose, it's good to eat some aged Gouda. So you can do a little Belgian and German at the same time. Just do an aged Gouda with your Gose.
So that beer with some cheese really goes well together.
Yes, I knew it was coming. I was like, in my head, I was like, 3, 2, 1.
I went walking with the Gose. I said, please bring me some chips.
Can I just say that 3 minutes ago, Jeff Solomon, I got a text from somebody who's silently watching, from a lurker who's watching, that says, is Jeff S. going to start singing now?
I have more. I've got a good one for the end, I think.
I assume I would expect nothing less from you, Jeff Solomon. Excellent job, guys. Excellent patrons. Thank you for doing this one. I was excited. I was in the same boat as Solomon. I was like, I'm really looking forward to the craft Mexican lager. And then it was tied. It was tied for a long time, and I had to pull out the get out and vote, rock the vote on to the Patreons with the live little clip, and then it ran away. And then the Gose ran away with it. So happy about it. As Dimitri said, we may just have to stack rank what we did, and just that's what we may have to do Mexican lagers next time. Just go for it. All right.
Hey, what's the country of origin of that Gouda, by the way?
It's Rembrandt, so I'm pretty sure it's Belgium or the Netherlands, actually.
It's Dutch.
Yeah.
All right. That was a Gouda choice.
I walked right into that, didn't I?
All right. Excellent tasting, guys. I'm looking forward to this. I'm glad I got a couple of these. As we get into, I mean, there's so much going on in the world that we just have to break it down with booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes some stupid stuff. This week, I don't think it's really stupid. This is a good one this week. So this story has come up a couple times, depending on when the speech is given. I think it made rounds in 2012. It was brought up again. It wasn't like the same story coming up. But Tim Hanai, he is a master sommelier, or master of wine. He says food and wine pairings are bullshit. So,
Whoa.
yeah. So he was giving a speech about this, and the basics of it. I mean, the title kind of says it, but as he says, it's concerned that the wine industry, we began celebrating wine drinkers rather than finding ways to, the wine industry needs to begin celebrating wine drinkers rather than finding ways to exclude or belittle them with things like perfect pairings and wine and food pairings, and that the perfect quote, I'm quoting here, quote, a perfect wine pairing doesn't exist. We're doing a lot of damage the way we're matching wine and categorizing it. A lot of people enjoy being arrogant about wine and consider entry-level wines as being unsophisticated. We need to celebrate the diversity of consumers, not make them feel stupid. And so it went on and on talking about, this, and there was some counterpoints to it, which I'm sure we'll get to. But I wanted to open up to you guys first and see if you feel that wine and food pairings are bullshit, John Rujek. And for that matter, craft beer and food pairings, are they bullshit?
Well, I've given you a good Pilsner goes with just about everything, and pale ale, IPA, pale ale, anything pale ale that's hoppy goes great with chicken. You cannot go wrong with IPAs and chicken, no matter how the chicken's done. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about wine. Wow. Do I have to, straddle the fence? Yes and no. I don't, if we cracked a bottle of wine one day and it happens to be white, and the next night we're having something that would go better with a red, well, I'm not opening a red just because I already have one that's white that's open. Mm-hmm. And I'll enjoy it just as much. I will say that sometimes, I don't have an extensive cellar like you guys do. We buy wine to drink it,
Extensive. My cellar's like this. I'm holding up my hands right now.
I thought Jeff Solomon was about to go. You have no idea how good my cellar is.
It's very small.
We've got 5 bottles right now. I mean, Christmas time we had 24, but that's another story.
Advent calendar, I get it.
Yeah, no. So, sometimes we go to the store and I'll look and I'll say, you know what, I'm not having calamari tonight, or I'm not having, pan-seared scallops, and maybe I'd really like to try that wine, but that's not what we're having. So I do steer away from things when I'm at the store buying stuff because of my own perceptions. Mm-hmm. Not being, I'm much more knowledgeable now after doing the show for 4 some years, right? And I thank goodness for that, but still I have these preconceived notions about what I should be getting. I don't always adhere to that.
And I'm going to stop you for a second, because that's brought up specifically in this article where it talks about people, someone that's worked in, a wine and cheese store, and how he would watch people walk away from what they wanted because they didn't think it was the right wine for what they were eating.
Right.
And which is what you're describing.
Yeah, I will say what I know about different wines, the different styles of wine now, that if I know we're having a rich food, I don't care whether it's traditionally would go with red or traditionally go with white. I know I'm going to pick something acidic, right, in order to balance that out. So, and if I'm having something a little bit more spicy, then I wouldn't go acidic. I'd go a little more heavy body, whether that, that's normally going to be a big red, but it's not always. You might get a buttery Chardonnay with that as well. So, so I don't want to say I'm a rule breaker, but like you said, I have these ingrained notions from what we've been brought up with our wine purchasing advice from experts for the last 30 years that have tainted the waters for me.
Okay. All right. I like your honesty in that, John. So thank you for that. Jeff looks like he had a whole bunch of counterpoints he wanted to throw out while you were talking. So I'm going to throw it over to Solomon now.
Oh, thanks for building me up so I can underwhelm right now. I think on some level, I think the statement from Mr. Hanai, I think on some level it's very, it builds like a nice title for an article and it gets people to click on it. I don't think that what he's saying is that it's not heresy what he's doing here. I mean, like he's basically saying, what are your favorite things, Jeff? Drink what you like. And I think that that's fair. I think that food and wine pairing is important in the sense that I think that most wine tastes better when you're eating something along with that wine. And we should be treating it like food, and we should be celebrating at the table together. That being said, there are definitely times, quite a few times where you should be drinking wine like a cocktail just on its own and enjoy it on its own merits. I also think that there's really no such thing as a wrong choice. Like there really isn't, unless you're eating a food and then you drink a wine and you go, "Oh, that was disgusting." I don't know if I've ever seen anybody actually do that. As long as you're enjoying it, you really shouldn't worry that much about it. I've seen ridiculous pairings when somebody's at a restaurant and they order like a soda with a particular food. It's like, why'd you order that orange soda with that broccoli? What's your problem? But if you enjoy it, if you've got the palate of a 4-year-old, you just fucking go for it, right? And I'm not saying that to be like disparaging, like
no,
honestly,
you're saying it to be loving and
yeah, certainly. But on the other hand, if you're letting your 4-year-old drink orange soda, like you shouldn't be a parent. But that's another story. I guess what I'm saying is, I like when I hear people in the wine world like just kind of poking at the boundaries. Like Jeff, when you did that amazing article about like don't drink what you like it was that same thing. You're like, I like when people poke the bear, because wine doesn't have to be, as he was saying, it doesn't have to be this stuffy, alienating thing. Yep. I'd love to have a conversation with anybody over a meal with some wine and talk about, hey, are you seeing the same thing that I am right here? And maybe this isn't a textbook perfect pairing. Like, sure enough, like, I don't care how good you're telling me Sauterne and foie gras is. I'm not going to abuse a goose in order to enjoy some Sauterne. I'll be cool with Sauterne and I don't know, some ice cream. Like, I'll be fine. And so I think that's what he's really saying. Like, try the thing, try things. And if you like them, go back to them. And if you want to talk about like other things to pair, that's cool too. And if you want to be edgy by saying things like bullshit, like, "Ooh, I can't believe he said that," that's fine. Poke the bear, man. Poke the fucking bear.
So Sauterne and ice cream, it would be along the same lines as, say, like white zin and creme brulee.
Hells yeah, go for it. Why not?
Yeah.
That actually sounds really gross to me.
Yeah, it kind of
But try it. If you got the palate of a 4-year-old, you might like it.
Somehow, if you have a palate of a 4-year-old, got to work into the title of this. So, yeah, like I think I'm on the same. I think I'm there with where you guys are at as well. I think, yes, he grandstands, with that title to get people's attention. But at the same time, and it may not be for everybody, but you can have a pairing where both the food and the wine get better. And that can happen. But that shouldn't be what we strive for every single time we're doing a food and wine pairing, right? 90% of the time, you're just looking for something that you enjoy drinking with something you enjoy eating. But you can get, people talk about, John talked about IPAs and chicken, and wine drinkers will talk about sparkling wine and fried chicken. And, there's some pairings that go really, really well together and they elevate both things. But that's the minority, and it shouldn't be something that we're striving for every single time we try to open a bottle of wine with food.
But here's the thing: at Christmas time, on Christmas Eve, I made a traditional Christmas Eve dish, which is chicken paprikash. It's a Hungarian dish with chicken that is fried with onions, and then a boatload of paprika, quite a bit of black pepper, some salt. But it's a pretty spicy dish. But it's in a sour cream sauce. So you take all the drip, you brown the chicken in the onions, and then you turn them over and you simmer them, and then all the juices dripping. You got to get it on the bone, so all the juices drip out of the bones, right? And then you pull the chicken out and you add sour cream to it. Mix it all up, and the cream gets kind of reddish, pinkish kind of thing. But we serve both red and white with that dish on Christmas Eve. And I tried some of both, and that's kind of a dish where it was spicy but rich, where both a white wine and a red wine did well with that. Mm-hmm. So, and some people at the table don't like red wine. Yeah. So we had white,
And our friend Dimitri, watching live right now in the chat, he's kind of in the same regard, saying, like, obviously there are things that taste great together, and there are things that are awful together. And it might not be a bad idea to let somebody know, like, hey, I think you're maybe making a poor decision here. That might be gross, but you don't have to disparage people for that either. It's right. I think the thing is, wine in particular, and you could do this with beer, but it seems like wine in particular, because you got all these different weird words and different languages that are being thrown about. I think sometimes, there's this air of stuffiness that could be there when somebody's really just trying to have a conversation with you, that sometimes we read too deeply into that, mm-hmm. Like I think on some level, like, gosh, sometimes I wish folks would relax. Like, people know that I'm really into wine. And sometimes when I'm having conversations with folks, it's like, I can almost see them kind of like shaking and jittering. Like, did I say the right thing around Jeff? Like, relax. It's supposed to be fun. Enjoy yourself. You'll be okay. I'm a very tiny man. I'm not intimidating.
Yeah, and there are some, there are some I don't want to say really rules, but there's some things that you can adhere to help yourself out. But when it comes down to it, if you like Cabernet, fuck it, get Cabernet, and hopefully you're not eating a spicy Thai dish and have a ton of tannins with a ton of spice. That might not go so well, but hey, Jeff just got bitter beer face.
It was the Gose. It's tart beer.
All right. So if you have a perfect pairing that you want us to know about, let us know somewhere. I don't care where. You know how to get hold of us. If you don't know how to get hold of us, then listen to the end of the show. We'll tell you all kinds of ways.
I was going to say that should just be the end of the show now. Like, if you need to get a hold of us, fucking figure it out. We're here. Bye.
All right. Well, today, if you're listening on the day, that's going to be a long episode. If you're listening on the day we drop, it is March 1st, which means it's the end Did you want to lead us in there, Solomon?
Patreon challenge, extreme Mountain Dew.
That's right. It is the end of our February Patreon challenge where we dared to push our listeners to get us to 20 Patreons by the end of the month.
21 Patreons. Will it happen? We don't know.
You may remember we started off the month at 18.
Was the first day of the month a Sunday? Sorry.
Go ahead and just do the seat one now.
The what?
You pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
I've never heard. Coming out is the truck apocalypse. Watch a big truck with fake teeth eat a little truck. Sorry.
What is that?
Patreon challenge. Go, Jeff. You got it.
So we started the month off with 18 Patreons. We were looking to pick up 2 in 27 days. Then we lost 1. We were down to 17. We were like, oh, well, this was a horrible mistake. And then we rocketed up to 21 going into the last week, and it remained relatively silent until today. I put the call out on the tavern and said, look, it's the last day for us. If anybody wants to come through and help us out, do it. And boom, our good friend, our beer mule, Chelsea B, came through with a $5 donation to help support the show, bringing us to 22 Patreons. We doubled our goal.
That's a 22% increase.
Chelsea doubled our goal. Oh, yeah.
A 22% increase.
She's been a listener. She's our beer mule. She's a home brewer. She about drives off the road because of Jeff's Hall and Oat jokes. Just overall.
There's more where that came from.
Just an overall awesome human. So Chelsea, thank you for joining up with us. And to everybody that signed up in February and to all of our patrons that have been with us for so long. Thank you all so much. Love you all. But that means, unfortunately, for our listeners, that there's going to be a no holds barred Ask Us Anything episode at sometime in March. So we'll get the call out soon on how you can get those questions to us. And have fun with that.
Nobody ask us anything, we'll tiptoe around the answers. Bow, bow.
Okay, so thank you for that. I have something in my eye.
In all seriousness, thank you so much. Like, that was so awesome. We didn't know if like something like that would work. You guys like us. You really like us. I'm not even going to call you freeloaders anymore unless you want me to. Is that what you want?
I think that's why they did it, to get you to stop insulting them.
Okay, so worked. All right, public shaming. That's my new thing.
Well, we'll do it. We'll do it every other month. I think
once a year.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. We really do appreciate that. Yeah. And please make sure, if you are a Patreon, download the Patreon app for your phone. It makes it so much easier to interact with us and get all this cool content. I think you're really going to like it.
And I've been really trying to put a lot more out on Patreon. So we got new stickers coming out. We've got coasters coming out. We've got all this stuff. I'm working on getting everything shipped out now. So bear with me. But they're coming.
Patreons, they also helped with all the huge production costs. Would really increase the production value on some of our projects.
Yeah. The new listeners. Now, today, go to welikedrinking.com/pledge so you can see the amazing, top-notch, high-quality new video that the We Like Drinking guys have put out on Patreon. It's magnificent.
This is your Patreon dollars hard at work, folks.
Might I say the acting, second to none.
I mean, Academy Award season, they're lucky it's past.
Ever heard of Juilliard?
Okay.
We haven't.
Okay. All right. This train's going right on past the 1 hour stop mark. So Jeff Solomon, you want to lead us into our next bit?
Bo, 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 Bodie bo. Hey, do you want to do this next week, John? John Ruyak's got a story.
From 2 weeks ago.
So it's still been kind of frosting me. So,
That really chaps my hide.
You know what grinds my gears?
You know what pickles my herring?
Well, yeah. So we are a small brewery, 3 barrels. We're kicking out 500 barrels a year. I'm there 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, usually busting my chops to get this beer made on a regular basis, all the time basis. And the brewery's right by the back entrance, and people come in and they say hi, and I say hi to them back, and they talk to me occasionally. But about 2 weeks ago, this young guy comes up, peeks his head around the corner. He comes, from the bar, the serving room, the tap room, and
this little punk came by.
Yeah, he comes, he peeks his head around the corner. He goes, "Do you guys do brewery tours?" Well, I'm in the middle of the runoff, and that's after the mash. I'm pulling the wort off of the mash into a grant and pumping it in to the brew kettle. And it's kind of a balancing act. You want the liquid to come out at the same time the pump is pulling it out. And I've got speed dialed through the pump to get the best sugar extraction out of the mash. But it's kind of a balancing act, and it takes 10, 15 minutes to get this done. The dude's like, "Do you guys do brewery tours?" He sticks his head around and he comes. I was like, "You can come in, you can ask questions, but we're brewing right now." And this kid, 22, 23-year-old, comes in and he just starts grilling me. Well, in the middle of my workday about what I'm doing and what he's seen at other places and how he does stuff at home and how his neighbor does stuff at home. And he's trying to give me pointers about how to brew beer.
Nice.
And I'm like, what and Dan, the owner's back there, you could see the steam coming out of his ears. He came and I said, "This is such and such." He's like, he just looked at him and he just walked out. He got what he needed out of the cold room and walked out of there. And he's like, "Fuck this shit. I'm letting you deal with it. You invited him in, right?" And he gave me that look. So I'm like, this is not like it is in other places. Well, there's 7,000 breweries in the United States, and every 7,000 place brews 7,000 different ways. That's just the way it is, and this is how we do it here. I mean, I really like your India Black Ale. Well, then why are you questioning the way we make it? So it's just that, don't be that guy. And the reason I say that is as irritating as this kid was. I know that I did this myself when I was younger. My wife and I we were expecting our second child, and we were out in Ohio, and my parents took me to a restaurant that they frequent a lot. And I was in the restaurant business at the time, and they brought me back into the kitchen, and I was I gave the guy a suggestion, and he said, "Oh, that's a really good idea." No, but that was really sincerely a good idea. That he said, "Oh, that's going to save us money." And I said, well, thank you very much. But then I continued to go on and on and on. And it was just, you know what? If you're that good, shut up and go and do it yourself. That guy was running a very successful restaurant. He really didn't need a suggestion from me. He took it. He didn't need any of the other ones. And this kid comes in and he's like, "Man, I don't care what you're telling me. I'm brewing beer that people actually pay for. So get the fuck out of here." After about 3 minutes, I just started ignoring the kid, and he eventually left.
Wow.
Our brewery is seriously the size of my kitchen, or Eccles. It's about the size of your kitchen. I mean, it's 20 by 30. That's it.
Oh, wow.
I just started ignoring the dude. He just went away. It's just people. I mean, if you go to a place, ask questions. Don't give knowledge. It's a much better way of finding things out.
I see.
You say that, but you know what's really fun? I was at I was at the new Russian River Brewery facility in Windsor, California, a couple weeks ago, and we went on the tour. 75-barrel system. I interrupted the tour. I said, 75 barrels? He goes, yeah. I go, you couldn't get enough room for 76? And the guy said, that's not a bad idea. We should have done that. And so I actually did tell Russian River Brewery what to do with their business. Tried Pliny the Younger. All right. Okay. I told him, I said, it's all right. You should charge more for this. They said, okay, I think we will. Thanks a lot. So everybody next year, Pliny the Younger, more expensive. My fault. Burn.
I was gonna say, John, you listen to our show, right? we invite guests onto our show when they're not working, so that Jeff Solomon can tell them how to do their business better.
Yeah, during their time off while they're not getting paid. Well, actually, some of them do. Actually,
some of them
do put it back for hours when they're on here. But
yeah, don't be that guy.
Hashtag
no, put him for hours if your business will pay for it. Be that guy.
All right, good story, John.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
All right, well, if John is ignoring us, it must be up for time for us to realize that it's
last call.
It's last call.
Fuck out of my brewery. So yes, it's last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks? It's our last minute push to get you to help us out. Follow us on the socials on Twitter at We Like Drinking 1. That's the number 1 on Instagram and Facebook at We Like Drinking, or join our private Facebook group, The Tavern. It's getting more and more busy every single week. Visit WeLikeDrinking.com/tavern to get signed up and join in on the shenanigans. John Ruyak, if the people want to tell us something about the show or how we could do it better, where can they go to do that?
Just kind of hit the search button on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Tell us how much you like us, or, tell us how to do our jobs better.
But give us 5 stars.
Yeah, do that at least.
All right, and we haven't talked about Patreon enough this episode, Jeff Solomon. So since you're the rambler, since you are the long-winded one of the group, where can the listeners go if they want to throw some cash our way?
Hey, make sure to visit us at WeLikeDrinking.com/pledge to find out more information about becoming a patron of the show, and make sure that we don't shut down. Please, we need your help.
My dad had an AMC Rambler way back in the day.
Lord, I was born a rambling man.
You can also find
with the thing and the stuff
the stories or mentions we had at WeLikeDrinking.com/episodes. Or if you're on your phone, diddle it for a while.
just swing around, do some poking. You'll figure it out.
All right. That's definitely the point of the show where I'm going to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
So I was looking at the show notes earlier today, and we had all these crazy stories that we could have talked about, and some of them are really good, but there was a couple that I saw on the internet in the last couple days that I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to really discuss on the show. And one was about a dude who dipped his junk in some salsa at a friend's party. So why didn't we talk about that? But what's even more disturbing is there was really a call for people to not cremate radioactive dead people. Why weren't we talking about that?
Those both sound much more like after party show discussions
Okay.
than this one. But all right. If you combine those two stories together, I think you really got something, though. Jeff Sullivan.
Cut the music.
Shit.
Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. That's just the way it goes. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Drinking some salty tart beer. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. That's just the way it goes. Get it? Because goes? Okay.
Yeah.
Bring the music back.
Okay, thank you. Oh, my goodness. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us for our Gose episode. We have enjoyed it, bringing it to you. But now it's a time where I get to say, no, I already did that. So what do I say here?
Thanks again.
Again for joining
there
us
you go.
on the
That's
We Like Drinking podcast, where
Go ahead, finish it.
you'll never
Drink alone.
The fuck?
I was walking with the ghosts. I said, please, please don't exist. Did you ever hear the White Stripes do "Walking with the Ghost"?
No.
I don't think
Really,
so.
it was kind of interesting. It was unnecessary. I like Tegan and Sarah; they're good.
Jack White is an amazing
Oh,
artist.
he's great.
All right.
Meg White, not really that good with the drums, but you know.
All right, Dimitri, man, thank you for watching the show. Listener who shall not be named, thank you for watching the show.
Listener is related to Jeff and texts him when's Jeff gonna
Yeah.
start singing.
Yeah.
Bye, Annette. Thank you.
All right. He's
Larry
out of-
Jeff McKinney.
Bye, Jeff McKinney.